Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, I did say I wouldn't do any more Rutherglen videos, and I'm holding true to that. This video will contain references to Rutherglen, but that's only because it's just happened. But it's more in the round. It's more everything that's happening to the SNP in general. There will be some mentions of it, of course, because it is the hot topic of the day, but it isn't a Rutherglen story as such. So do bear with me, and do press the like button. We very much appreciate it when you like the videos, and definitely if you like the video, definitely subscribe if you're yet to do so. If you're a regular viewer especially, we really need your help. You might as well subscribe if you're a regular viewer, but if you're a new viewer as well, all the better. Subscribe, come to us, hear the truth. We call it as it is, and we don't glaze anything over. So the format I normally do for new viewers is that we look at a story of the day, whatever it is, and I just give my take on it and sort of look beneath the headlines. It may say one thing, but it might mean something else, and that's what we do. Anyway, this story isn't really a story. It's an opinion piece more than anything else. But when reading it, and I've been all the way through it, and I completely agree with it, but they do highlight some very interesting facts, which I think I'm very happy to sort of to push these facts as well, push this information across, because I think that the guy that wrote this, Ben Borland, has got it spot on. So I thought we'll go through it and see what Ben's saying about Humza Yousaf, and it'll make you laugh. Here goes. So this piece is an editorial, and in this case, it actually is an editorial. Ben Borland, as I say, he is the editor of the paper. But he's come up with a view which I think I can probably agree with. And I hope you do too. Anyway, Humza Yousaf may as well book his 2024 holidays right now, because he won't be SNP leader after the general election. I'm going to suggest he may not be SNP leader before the general election. I know his coat's on a sugary peg. Everything's gone wrong. Everything is continuing to go wrong. Nothing he does or says is believable anymore. He's got no support within the party. Well, he's got some support within the party, but the support he had when he came in has sort of evaporated away. He got in on 52% to 48%, and I suspect now it's well below the 50% now, because he's been found out. He's been weighed and he's been measured and he's been found wanting. Quite literally. And so with all this string of failures, people in the party are now, what went from a whispering campaign is now becoming quite verbal. It's time to go. When these backbenchers are looking at losing all their seats, or when these MPs in Westminster are looking at, certainly the MP lot are looking to lose their seats within the next few months, they're thinking, no, we should never have backed him. And so it's time for him to depart the field, it seems. Anyway, the First Minister and his family can start making their travel plans now, because the Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election result shows he will be out of a job within 12 months. He could be without in 12 weeks. The Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election will go down in political history, alongside the likes of Glasgow Govan in 73 and 88, and Glasgow East in 2008. On those occasions, the SNP were the victors, and each one signalled a period in the doldrums for Scottish Labour and the Union. By contrast, 2023 will be remembered as the night the Yellow Wall began to crumble, and ordinary Scots turned their backs on 16 years of nationalist division and grievance. For a long time, many people held a view along these lines. Well, I don't share the Nats' obsession for breaking up Britain, but they've done okay at Holyrood, and Labour don't offer much of an alternative, so I suppose I'll vote for them again. And that is why the SNP have been in power, of course, for so long. They were seen as invincible, especially with Cranky in charge. She ruled with an iron fist. She had discipline. She made sure everything was sorted. Even when it was awful, she spun it well. She was an excellent politician. Terrible woman, terrible politics, but an excellent politician. Humza doesn't have 1% of her political nous. And since taking office, it's all gone terribly wrong. And that is why he is finished. That is why the SNP are now seen as not invincible, but in fact vulnerable, weak, leaderless. They have no ideas, they have no direction, and people have wised up to this, and they see them for what they are. They've pulled back the curtain, and instead of seeing the great and mighty Oz, they've seen a sad man bereft of ideas. Anyway, thanks to all the well-publicised financial collapse, the S&P is now broke and on the verge of bankruptcy. And as a result, the scales are falling from the eyes of the Scottish electorate. And if you want to evidence of the party's utter lack of cash, just look at this election campaign. They were so short on canvassers that Humza Yousaf and his cabinet secretaries were out delivering leaflets and knocking on doors on an almost daily basis. They couldn't hire anyone to go out and do this and post them and things like that, so they had to do it themselves. They have no money. Yousaf will wake up this morning at his home in Broughty Ferry, almost 100 miles from his constituency in Glasgow. And if he's honest with himself, he will know that he is now finished as SNP leader. There will be no immediate leadership challenge, however, because Kate Forbes is not stupid. She'll want to take over before the general election. And if the swing from Rutherglen and Hamilton West is repeated across the country, then Nats could lose more than 30 MPs next year. Possibly 40. Possibly as high as 40. John Curtis, Professor of Politics at Strathclyde University and the UK's leading pollster, said the SNP could be down to just 6 MPs by the end of 2024. And for me, that's still 6 too many. But 6 is embarrassing. Now, they're saying that Kate Forbes might not go it early. I think this upcoming conference will see a stalking horse. We'll see someone challenge, and that challenge will come, and it'll be left field. It won't be anyone big. It'll be a left field stalking horse challenger just to get the ball rolling. And then I think once that's gone, once they've got the challenge up there, once they know and they've tested the waters that there is blood in the water and the sharks start to turn around, he'll be gone. There'll be a new leadership, and I think it'll be between Kate Forbes and Beryl down in London. I think Stephen Flynn definitely wants to grab the leadership. I think he needs to. I think Stephen Flynn absolutely needs to go for the leadership now, because he's seen the writing on the wall at the election, that come the general election, he will be out. His seat is so vulnerable, he'll be gone. But if he can become leader, then he can demand a safer seat and maybe take like Humza Yousaf's old seat or something such like that. And that's what will happen. So the only way Stephen Flynn can survive is if he becomes leader. Who knows? Kate's probably quite safe. She'll have a very much smaller party when she takes over, assuming that Beryl doesn't get it. But hey, you know, it's all up in the air. It's all to play for, and they've got no time to waste. If they want to change it and do anything, they've got to go straight away. They've got to do it at the conference. After that, they're finished. Anyway, even more on the optimistic assessment. At least a dozen MPs are surely toast, and perhaps a dozen more now face a battle to survive. And there's virtually nothing Yousaf can do to prevent this looming disaster, and he can already start preparing his resignation speech for the day after the next UK ballot. We still don't know if the general election will be called in spring or autumn, but as I've said on the Daily Record Planet Holyrood this morning, the First Minister and his family might as well start planning for that holiday of a lifetime next year, because he is going to be out of a job. And if Nadia El Nakla, the FM's wife, has ordered any new curtains for their flat at Butte House, she should cancel the order, because they'll be getting sent back within 12 months. Oh, that's harsh, isn't it? That is harsh. It's right, though. I mean, he's definitely right. The man is not going to be there long. He's done. He is going to be, you know, he's one and done. And he's useless. Useless by name, useless by nature. The only option for Yousaf now is the tried and tested strategy that's been used by the SNP in times of adversity in the past. Go big on independence. The party conference is coming up, and we can expect it to be dominated by bold and reckless talk about how the Nats intend to force Scotland out of the UK. Although they can't. We all know they keep coming up with the same tired failure of ideas. Their cupboard is bare. They have nothing to offer. They've got nothing to offer on independence. They've got nothing to offer on the economy. And everything they've touched is falling apart. They're a party that have run out of steam, run out of ideas, run out of road. And I think, thankfully, in the eyes of the electorate, they've run out of time. They're certainly running out of money. Anyway, we can expect the de facto referendum to be ramped up by fresh rhetoric, and I wouldn't even roll out some new strategy, such as the old chestnut of a unilateral declaration of independence, or an appeal to the UN. But don't believe a word of it. They could UDI all they like, it won't happen. Nobody will recognise it. As Dylan Thomas may say, this is just the gnats raging against the dying of the light. Night night, we won't miss you when you're gone. And it won't be long. I honestly think, conference, I think he's got 2 weeks left in the job, week and a half, something like that. And he's gone, he's toast, he's finished. He is gone. He is, yesterday's man. He's dead man walking. He's a zombie leader. He is dead man walking. He just doesn't know it yet. But everyone else does. And everyone in the party does. The SNP know he cannot go on. Even his own supporters are like, time's up. You've had your chance. Nothing's happening. Because they chose a moron. Anyway, I'm going to round off and come up. Tell you when I played that section back, I realised I hadn't put myself down. Normally I go into the corner and show you the thing. And I wasn't going to re-record it. Time ticks on. It was just an opinion piece, not a news article. So I let it ride. Bit different, but there we go. But I think he is dead right in what he says. I think Humza Yousaf definitely is a dead man walking. He is certainly yesterday's man already. When you consider that since taking over, he's just had a series of absolute catastrophes, losses, hasn't won anything, hasn't got any legislation through. Every piece of legislation he's tried to announce has either backfired immediately or has failed in court. He's got 2 court cases going, both about gender issues, that the vast majority of people are totally against. So even if he wins them, it's going to be an own goal because he's just forcing on people something they don't want. And then he's going to claim it's a victory. Well, no, it's not. Not when people don't want it, it isn't. The man has got no idea whatsoever. And of course, he is a mouse. He's a timid little mouse. If he was a leader, he'd have told the Greens where to get off. But of course, he hasn't. And in fact, the reality of Humza Yousaf leading the SNP is that you now have a Green government backed up by a very weak SNP bunch of, spineless jellyfish. And people wonder why Scotland's going down the pan. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this one. Slightly different because I cocked up the middle bit, but hey-ho, try and improve it next time. And until next time, stay safe. Stay well and just hope that the next election isn't too far. Let's go for a spring election and not an autumn one because I want to sit and watch this lot come in. 6 seats. Wow. That'd be stunning, wouldn't it? Anyway, till then, bye.